one of the things about authoritarians is they're always going to be willing to threaten violence to get their way. They're bullies. And you don't get a bully to stop taking your lunch money by giving them your lunch money. And so factually, they're just conceding, opening the door, acquiescing. These are not effective ways to get things to make things better. It just helps them move through more easily. And so surrendering eventually becomes complicity at a certain point. Now that doesn't mean that we need law enforcement officers locally just taking out their guns and saying, ICE, you better stop or I'm going to arrest you. What it does mean, though, is that officers can stand in between officers, and they can stand in between agents and protesters, and they can turn around, they can face those agents, and they can say, like, look, we're not going to let you take away these people First Amendment right, Fourth Amendment right, or any of those sorts of things. Our job, we both swore an oath to the Constitution. If you want to break yours, that's fine, but we're not going to do that. And that doesn't mean that they're instantly getting put in handcuffs. In LA right now, they're sending out law enforcement officers, and the supervisor is with their body cam on is supposed to take the ID of the area leader and the supervisor of that ICE group and have that on the record in case there are crimes. Another thing, I think that's like a half measure, way better than no measure, but let's just take it a step further. Look, we're going to call in the National Guard. We're going to call in fact, just stick with the National Guard, not even police officers. We are going to deploy them out when we get calls that ICE is out, and they're going to have body cams, and they're going to wear their vests, and they are going to ask for your identification while you do things. And they are going to be, following it. If you as agents are willing to share that information with them while they act as constitutional observers, which also New York City is working on, they're hiring actual constitutional observers who will be city employees. Then we're going to just observe. But I really think that if we just, hey, cool, okay, the body cam has your ID, and now it's watching you, and go ahead and do your job, but we are going to be following you around. And you charge them later. You put out an arrest warrant. It doesn't have to be a gunfight, but you're just never going to make the world a better place by saying, oh no, the bad guys threatened to fight us or hurt us, we better just give them whatever they want. It's a learned helplessness that guarantees the fall of freedom and justice and everything we believe in, and it's a destruction of our values. You must stand up in all cases immediately to these sorts of human rights abuses, because it is so fortunate for anyone out there who isn't getting abducted, who doesn't have a child coming home from school and mom and dad got stolen, thrown into vans, and they're in camps. You kidding me? That's happening in the US right now. And anyone who's not up to fight back against that should be ashamed and must resign immediately.